smrutya So that's how we need to shift our our love towards the Lord. So though by that we remember Krishna at the end of life. And also we hanker for the same person at the end of life. Generally in social circles also, when the person is leaving the body, he calls for the person he was always been trying to love or showing a lot of love. I want to see him or I want to meet her, whatever. I want to talk to before leaving the body. Because a lot of love and affection was invested throughout the life. So that's how he or her is longing to meet or to be in their presence while leaving the body in general social circle also. So because Bhishma Dev had great love and devotion to the Lord, though he was in the palace, he was in the midst of politics and whatnot, everything of sense gratification available in kingdom. Generally, kingdom is like that. Kings are like that. But though Bhishma Dev was sitting in the royal palace day in and day out till the end of life, but still his mind and his consciousness was absorbed in Krishna. That's an amazing aspect. How he was engrossed in Krishna, though he was engaged in all kinds of political affairs. That's really an art. Of course, especially it may apply towards like Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all. Though he was going from morning 10 to evening 6, he was in court dealing with all kinds of cases, murder cases, rape cases, and all property cases, whatnot. Court means what? Court means all the cases with all the material things. What the cases were in 1700 or 1800, same things will happen now also, but only rules or people will change. What was the content of newspapers 100 years before? Same content is there in now also newspapers. Only thing is roles or people change. That's it. So, but how Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so absorbed, and he wrote so many books, so absorbed and so amazing. His consciousness is really a elevated personality. So this is just to give us an inspiration, give us a more determination to go ahead in our spiritual life. Now we are surrounded here by spiritual atmosphere, but our minds are engrossed in something else. Right? But he was absorbed in Krishna, though he was engaged in different kinds of activities externally. So that's how we need to.
So here, Bhishma Dev, after taking darshan of Lord Krishna, he wants the Narayana's darshan.
Right.
So it is said that the Krishna's darshan means it's kind of higher realization. Krishna realization, higher realization.
Right.
But he's asking for Narayana's darshan after that.
Yeah.
So means just like we hear about Prabodhananda Saraswati, he was worshipper of in Sri Rangam, he was worshipper of Narayana, means Vishnu, Ranganath. So Prabodhananda Saraswati.
Okay.
Then he went to Vrindavan and he becomes Radha Krishna's worshipper.
Yeah.
So that kind of change. But here it doesn't appear like that. So is there anything understand?
Yeah. See, it depends. Everybody has a free will. Every living entity has a free will. And depends on the personality also. Here, his Thai Bhav, he's a Nitya Siddha who is very much attached to Padasarthi, a form. Right now, Swapnil Prabhu. What do you say? He's our teacher in Rasas. So, yeah, that Bhishma Dev, his Thai Bhav is, see, all the devotees has their particular nature, especially Nitya are definitely attached to their own particular form. But it is also mentioned that those who are conditioned state, they have the opportunity to develop a particular relationship with the Lord. So once generally the principle of rasas is that once you reach Sthai Bhav, it's fixed up. So from the some examples, it is given that they are not at reached to particular Sthai Bhav. That's why they could change their Sthai Bhav. But in general, once its Sthai Bhav is fixed up, then they don't kind of a change. So these are very, very subtle things and very depends on the personality, depends on advancement, depends on the personality whom he is trying to approach. They can bestow mercy or they can be raised by the personalities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the South Indian Brahman, in two Brahmanas case, we have seen that one Brahmana was chanting Ram name while he was going. He saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While he came back, he was chanting Krishna's names. How is that? So the power also is there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to invest our bhakti or that kind of a devotion in others. And if the other recipient, if he is fixed up in particular sthai bhav, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Lila, there are so many devotees have different flavors towards different personalities like Murari Gupta, like Hanuman, or somebody was Varahadev. I think who was Varahadev? I think one more devotee who is Mukunda, I think, who was worshipper of Varahadev. Narsimanand Brahmachari, he was devotee of Narsimadev. They are not worshipping Krishna, though they are with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right now, they are with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they are worshipping their own personalities, their own likings. So it's possible. So it depends on their attraction towards the Lord. Sridhar Swami is attracted to Lord Narsimadev, is Ishtadev, especially Narsimadev and Sri Ram. Though he's writing on commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, which is extolled by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. His Ishtadev is Narsimadev and Sri Ram. So it depends on the personality and it's very individual. As we grow at the stages of after Nishta, Ruchi and Asakti, they are the platform where things start revealing, the flower starts blossoming. And that time you can try to see what exactly you are attracted to. So these are some things, but Bhishmadev is his sthai bhav is fixed up in Virya Rasa. Though he's both, especially as a Dasya Rasa, Prabhupada also mentions here, but as a Virya Rasa, he is always relishing that kind of relationship with the Lord. So that's why his mood of reverence is asking the four-handed form of the Lord. I could not find out how exactly he is also asking four-handed form here, but at the same time, Parthasarathi is a two-handed form. How any comment you heard, anything? Here is asking directly four-handed form. I was trying to understand, but maybe once Kanakeshwar Prabhu comes, I will try to check with him and let you know.
In the Vishwanath Thakurji writes in that, it is not here mentioned, but that Bhishma addressed him as a form with four arms because that was the form of Krishna mentioned in the mantra he was using during meditation.
That is true.
So in that he was using, that's why he was telling that form. Like Vishwanath Thakur write that.
If he's hankering for four-handed form, Parthasarathi from Prabhupada writes that he went to Parthasarathi Loka. Correct. Yeah, that Vishnu Sahasranam comes in the Mahabharata only. He recites Vishnu Sahasranam. He glorifies Krishna and Vishnu, definitely. But yeah, but he's asking finally Parthasarathi from. He's always hankering that charioteer. Charioteer is always Krishna in 200 form, generally. He's not in 400 Vishnu form. Where it's written? Yeah, he writes here, but in later part of the purport, Prabhupada writes, he has a specific Parthasarathi planet. I will show you. Okay, we'll continue. We'll come to that point. So basically, Bhishmadev is longing to be. Basically, we need to have attraction to particular form. Either whatever we may do, we should develop particular attraction towards the Lord, not to the matter. We should not be attracted towards the matter. We should try to develop attraction towards the Lord. And whatever form that it's revealed or you are attracted to in the later stages. So that is the main point. Now please read the highlight portion.
Vishmadev knew well that Lord Krishna is the original Narayan. His worshipable deity was four-handed Narayan, but he knew that four-handed Narayan is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. Indirectly, he desired Lord Sri Krishna to manifest himself in his four-handed feature of Narayan.
Maybe it seems like that he is asking 400 form now, but is attached to 200 form of Krishna as a Parthasarathi. Appears to be like that. So Prabhupada writes about Bhishma's humility, what was expressed before, Tatapi, Ekanta Bhakteshu, where what we read from Mr. Jakuto's commentary, that is feeling himself very low. Prabhupada writes about humility of Bhishmadev here. And the characteristic of pure devotion he mentions. Please read.
He desired that the Lord stay before him in his four-handed Narayan feature, so that he might concentrate upon him, and thus he is in trance in that meditation. Then his mind might be sanctified with thinking of the Lord. Thus, he did not mind wherever he might go. A pure devotee is never very anxious to go back to the kingdom of God. He entirely depends on the goodwill of the Lord. He is equally satisfied even if the Lord desires that he go to hell. The only desire that a pure devotee entertains is that he may always be in rapt attention with thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, regardless of where he is.
So this is another consciousness of devotees, that he may not be bothered wherever he is, but he always want to serve the Lord. He is not aspiring. That is the nature of the devotee. The essence of the devotee is to always serve the Lord wherever he is. What is that the famous sloka of Lord Shiva? Devotee about devotees. Uttarasur, Lord Shiva says to Chitraketu, Narayana para sarve nakutasyana vibhyati swargapavarga narakeshu apitulyata darshana. So the devotees are always those who are Narayan paras. They don't mind wherever they are, but their mood is to render transcendental loving service to the Lordship. So definitely we may have particular inclination to particular personality, but we are not demanding. So the devotional service is not about demanding. It's always about having great desire to serve. So that's the mood we need to cultivate. Oh, I should not demand that I need this particular form to be before me. I want to be, or I want to render service. That desire is always prominent in the devotee. So Bhishmadev wanted this much only, that his mind be absorbed in thinking of the Lord and that he pass away thus. That is the highest ambition of a pure devotee, to serve the Lord, wherever he is, to serve the Lord. So the next section, yeah.
What an out of the context question है इसी से, with the eyes as red as the rising sun. ये जो है ना, eyes as red as rising sun,
Where in translation?
translation. तो इसमें specifically what is the red part of the eye which is always referred, red eyes of the Lord?
With eyes as red as the rising sun is smiling.
What is that reddish part of the eye? It's the boundary.
Generally,
What is that?
what I heard in Jagannath, we have a reddish complexion in the around the eyes. That is compared to compassion of the Lord. Morning sun is more of a soothing. Arunam Nayanam, Charanam Vasanam. What we sing in Sachisudaashtakam also. The reddishness, early morning sun is more of soothing and also nourishing to the bodies. So that a kind of very soothing, and it's compared to compassion. Eyes become, of course, when passion is there, also that reddish is different. When you become angry, Then also eyes become reddish, bloodshot. But this red is a little different. Just like sun is soothing and is very nourishing. So that is compared to what I heard is from Jagannath's eyes. They are reddish in nature, and also color is also red generally. Jagannath's above eyes. So that I heard that it's more of a compassionate eyes. It's a soothing eyes. Anyone has any comment? Anything heard? Red color. Okay. So here Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying, may he remain here, Patikshatam, until I, after some time, after drinking the sweetness of his beauty with my eyes, after I praise him and reveal what is in my mind, give up my body. So he is seeking his presence. Okay, text. From this section 25 to 28, so Yudhishthira Maharaj inquires and Bhishma replies. So Suta Uvacha Yudhishthirastada karanya shayanam sharapanjare apruchat vividhan dharman rishinam chanushranvatam. Please read.
Sut Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthir, after hearing Bhishma Dev speak in that appealing tone, asked him in the presence of all the great rishis about the essential principles of various religious duties.
So after Bhishma Dev speaking, Vishnu was inquiring about essential principles. Prabhupada writes, and also Vishnu Thakur's commentary, that this was not the proper time to ask questions, but he asks questions about dharma at the end point of life. He generally don't speak philosophy. Let us suppose if somebody is passing away and we are going and we are there, we don't ask some philosophical questions there. Right? No? What happens to the soul? What is the nature of the soul? We don't kind of ask very technical questions or any astrology, astronomy, how the Earth planet is staying, what are the different creation aspects. No, we don't discuss all these things. But still, Yudhishthira asked about all this. Prabhupada explains here. Please read.
That Lord Sri Krishna inspired Maharaj Yudhishthir to ask Bhishma Dev in the presence of many great sages indicates that a devotee of the Lord like Bhishma Dev, although apparently living as a worldly man, is far superior to many great sages, even Vyasdev. Another point is that Bhishma Dev at that time was not only lying on the deathbed of arrows, but was also greatly aggrieved because of that state. One should not have asked him any question at that time. But Lord Sri Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotees are always sound in body and mind by dint of spiritual enlightenment, and that in any circumstances a devotee of the Lord is thus in perfect order to speak of the right way of life.
This is just to glorify Bhishma Dev. That's the main point. That he is always sound in mind and body by the dint of spiritual enlightenment. That's what the main point. Text 26. Purushasva bhava vihitan yatha varnam yathashramam vairagya ragopatibhyam amnato bhaya lakshanan. Please read.
At Maharaj Yudhishthir's inquiry, Bhishmadev first defined all the classifications of caste and orders of life in terms of the individual's qualifications. Then he systematically, in twofold divisions, described counteraction by detachment and interaction by attachment.
So, what is counteraction by detachment, interaction by attachment is renunciation by detachment, and enjoyment by attachment. That is the from comment. Contraction is a renunciation. Interaction is about enjoyment. So Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired all these things. Prabhupada in these 4 or 5 verses is one of the biggest purports about Varna and Ashram. what are the varnas, how do we apply it, what is the points and all. He elaborately explains. This is just before leaving to West. He's in Undavan. So he wrote a very beautiful article also. Gita Nagari is a very big article, Gita Nagari, based on Varnashram and spiritual life, how they should go hand in hand. His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj explains on this article. Prabhupada wrote in 1940s or 50s, he wrote a PTC article, kind of a very booklet. So explaining about Varnashram, how both things has to go together so that society and at the same time spiritual life can go together. So these are all thoughts of Prabhupada. So in these purports, he wrote elaborately on these aspects, Varna and Ashram. Okay, we'll just read a little bit. Please read the highlight portion.
The conception of 4 castes and 4 orders of life, as planned by the Lord Himself, Bhagavad Gita 4.13, is to accelerate transcendental qualities of the individual person so that he may gradually realize his spiritual identity and thus act accordingly to get free from material bondage or conditional life.
Yeah, so this is the main aspect is to accelerate the transcendental qualities. The main thing is to support spiritual life. All the Varnashram is not the focus of Varnashram is what? Ata pumbe dvijashreshta Varnashrama vibhagashah swanushtitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So that should be the ultimate goal of Varnashram. And based on that, we need to encourage people also to, those who are even not in Varnashram, so we need to encourage to that level to come to, or those who are inspired to come to Parodharma. Just like here I wrote that Prabhupada also mentioning the same thing. So from animal life to human life. That means from adharmic to dharmic life. And then Varnashrama. Varnashrama is more of dharmic life. And then is Parodharma. So these are the 3 levels. We need to see accordingly also in our life. Of course, we are trying to practice Parodharma. And we are trying to use the dharmic platform wherever it is required. But when we are trying to preach or encourage or to cultivate people, we need to see where they are and we need to inspire them to come to higher and higher levels. If people are not willing to come to Parodharma immediately, at least we need to encourage them to come to dharmic level of Varnashram, following some kind of rules and regulations in life. One cannot be called a civilized person without acquiring the above mentioned preliminary qualities. Bhishmadev mentions 9 qualities, especially those Prabhupada highlighted here. So then comes all the classifications of Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas and Sudras. Prabhupada very elaborately wrote. I think it's very difficult to go through now because the main section is prayers of Bhishmadev. This is also very good to understand the different qualities, but you can go through in your time. Prabhupada very elaborately explains about all these qualities of different varnas and what they need to do. Okay, let us see the brahmacharis. Somewhere he wrote, here. Let us read the brahmachari section. The main purpose of ashram dharma is to awaken knowledge and detachment. Read, brahmachari.
The Brahmachari ashram is a training ground for the prospective candidates. In this ashram, it is instructed that this material world is not actually the home of the living being. The conditioned souls under material bondage are prisoners of matter, and therefore self-realization is the ultimate aim of life. The whole system of ashrama dharma is a means to detachment. One who fails to assimilate this spirit of detachment is allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment.
Last.
Household life is for one who is attached, and the Vanaprastha and Sannyas orders of life are those who are detached from material life. The Brahmachari ashram is especially meant for training both the attached and the detached.
Yeah. So we have both some attachment and detachment. We have small fire of detachment from the world and want to realize ourselves, realize God, self-realization, God realization. Some small spark of the fire is there with us, within us, and we are trying our level best to fan that fire. So the more we fan it, we need to fan it in Brahmacharya ashram, those who join especially, because they all have small fire that we want to walk on this path of dedication or sacrifice or trying to develop spiritually. So that small fire has to be kindled more and more as we grow in ashram. That should not be put off by various things that come along with the path of bhakti, with path of practice, our devotional service. We need to see ourselves that fire is increasing day by day. It should not happen that after some years we are not taking care of the fire that we started with. So the desire to continue is like a fire. But what adds to the fire and what adds to the water to the fire, we need to be very careful. Otherwise, after many years, then the fire what I started with is blown off. And we are trying to struggle to find out why I joined the ashram. So that should not happen. So that needs a more own personal introspection from time to time, and also need guidance of the superiors to fan that fire, to make it a blaze. So just like a small candle needs some support initially, because the wind of obstacles we may blow of the candle fire. Just like when the candle becomes a small, what you say, one chula fire, let us suppose uh, while cooking in yatras, generally in yatras, they have small kinds of cookings, or even in villages also they have small fires to cook. Three, or in yatras they keep 3 rocks and keep on a vessel, and they start put some firewood underneath and they start cooking. So that fire doesn't need any kind of a closed section. It was open to air. Right. Why candle has to be protected? Why that fire doesn't need to be protected? Huh? Wind. Wind is the cause. In the case of candle, what happens? The candle has the very, very small fire, and the fuel is also very low, and the wind is in a big side. It will be blew off. But in case of small chula, or when we are wood fire, the wind itself is helping the fire to grow. And when it becomes, let us suppose, when it becomes a bonfire, you have a log of woods and they make it a fire. The same wind which is causing extinguishing of the fire at the candle level, it helps to grow the fire more and more. And when it becomes a forest fire, the same wind which was causing an obstacle at one level causes to ablaze the forest fire. So like that, in ashram also we need to find when to protect, how to protect ourselves, and how in spite of all the obstacles are there, we grow in our spiritual life, we grow in our detachment, and we grow in our dedication and sacrifice. Not only externally, but internally also. We develop deeper and deeper attraction towards the Lord by that fire. Of course, this example is applied to at different levels. It applies to gopis also at various level. So to understand the fire of separation, that example is given. Though there was separation, but separation is like acting like a wind for their devotion. So it's a blazing their devotion more and more, that separation. But in our case, we need to find out what is making me more and more ablaze that fire and not extinguishing that fire. We need to see ourselves. Okay, so that's the point of Varnashram Dharma. Prabhupada is Bhishma Devi speaking, and especially in Brahmacharya Ashram, we need to cultivate more and more detachment aspect. Prabhupada is writing a powerful statement that one who fails to assimilate the spirit of detachment is allowed to enter into family life with the same spirit of detachment. A spirit of detachment has to be there everywhere from the matter and attachment to Krishna. Then only we can utilize the Varnashram Dharma as a springboard to come to our spiritual platform. Okay, text 27. Dana dharman, raja dharman, moksha dharman, vibhagashah, stri dharman, bhagavad dharman, samasa vyasa yogatah. Please read.
Translation.
Translation read.
He then explained by divisions, act of charity, the pragmatic activities of the king, and activities for salvation. Then he described the duties of a woman and duties, both briefly and extensively.
Extensively, yeah. Samasa and vyasa. Expanded also and generally also. So Bhishma Dev section is one of the biggest sections in Mahabharata. What I heard, I didn't read, but I heard that the Bhishma Parva, he spoke so many things, as he mentioned here, that Dana Dharman, Raja Dharman, Moksha Dharman, so many things, Three Dharma. Prabhupada also explains all these things. But Bhagavad Dharma is the essence, what is mentioned, though it's mentioned in the last, because it's the essence. That's what the comment of Acharyas that though it's mentioned in the last, it is the essence of all the dharmas. That's why he spoke all these things. We can go through the purport, but Prabhupada mentions on the same point of Varnashrama principles and all this he explains. Okay, this is a beautiful point Prabhupada mentions. Please read, highlight portion.
As the rivers draw water from the sea through the clouds and again go down to the sea. Similarly, one energy is borrowed from the supreme source, the Lord's energy, and it must return to the Lord. That is the perfection of our life energy.
Yeah. So basically, human life is a FAT, a facility with some ability and time bound. Ability means we have some energy and we have some time bound. Everybody has some time bound, 40, 50, 60. But it is a facility with some ability. We have all our abilities. Everybody has some abilities. Some physical, some mental, intellectual, and trying to guide people or have a power on controlling people, can lead people. So everybody has various abilities, various skills. So we need to utilize these abilities and time to perfect our life. And both these things has to be utilized in service of the Lord. So as Prabhupada giving a beautiful example that all because we are all given these gifts of energy and time by Krishna himself for ourselves, and we need to engage in his service by utilizing both these abilities and time in his loving service.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question?
Please.
Since Bhishmadev himself is in the Brahmachari ashram, how can he know all these things? Grihastha ashram, Stri dharma.
A good point. Yeah, see, it's said that when you are seeing from a distance, you can learn many things than when you are inside. So, at 4 levels of intelligence, Prabhupada speaks in NY. There is one person who hears and learns. One person hears and sees and learns. One person hears, sees, and experiences and learns. And the 4th fellow, who is like me, he doesn't hear, he doesn't learn anything. After hearing, seeing, and experiencing, he doesn't learn at all. So Bhishma Dev is definitely a personality, is a very exalted personality. He could know all these things, but hope it's making some sense. Yeah, hearing and learning. Yeah. He was trained in palace. He's a disciple of Brahaspati. So he knows almost in and everything of all. Rajarshis, that's why they are Rajarshis, Raja and Rishi. They are learning from the saints also. At the same time, they have knowledge of everything. Both. Huh? He's a Mahajan also. One of the 12 Mahajans. or direct authorities. Now, these are things he makes. He's a very great personality. He's a very special personality, Bhishmadev. He's extraordinary personality. If you see his prayers, is entirely a different realm only. Let us see what is his consciousness. So he explains all these Rajadharma and all this. Prabhupada also very elaborately explains, very, very striking purports also. What are the duties of different personalities, kings, and how they should be, and Moksha Dharma. And very beautiful explanation, Prabhupada also. Sri Dharmas and Bhagavad Dharma. Okay, you can read the last this one. Highlight.
Worshipping the deity at home, serving the devotee, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, residing in a holy place, and chanting the holy name of the Lord are all inexpensive items by which one can please the Lord. Thus,
So,
the subject matter was explained by the grandfather to his grandchildren.
so he explained. And at last, the most important aspect of Bhagavad Dharma and the essence of Bhagavad Dharma, as spoken by Rupa Goswami in 5 principles out of 64. Prabhupada explained here that all these things.
Somewhere they are not allowed congregation to keep duties at home because worshipping duties like one attention and attention to temple, festivals, and giving time respects. They are not allowed their congregation to keep duties in home. Many congregations already keep the duties, but they don't come to festivals or services on other also. How to do that?
Yeah, it's a community level, some arrangements or meetings or some issues we need to deal at particular communities. But the principle we understand here, Prabhupada also mentioned many times in Bhagavatam and many letters also, that deity, worshipping deity is must for the householders, because Krishna is the center. But how to match between the temple and the house programs and house deities, how to manage, what to do with the community. So these are all at the case to case we need to try to see. But basically trying to engage themselves. Let us suppose if deity is not there at home, the main point of the deity at home is what? What is the main point? Why Prabhupada emphasized in his books to keep the deity at home, worshipping the deity? They're always conscious that this is all, we are all servants of Krishna, this home is Krishna's. The consciousness is there early in the morning or late in the night. Prabhupada wrote many purports that how they should be engaged throughout the day, their services for the deity. At the same time, that's the if they are, let us suppose, if they are engaged so much in the deity worship at home and they are not at all coming to the temple or engaged in the temple services, these things are very, what to say, at a community level we need to discuss how much time they can, what are all situations they can come to temple, how much time they can spend at home with the deities, what level of standards practice at the home, how many offerings they can at home they can do. These are all we need to check, we need to discuss and decide at an individual level. But it's a proper main encouragement to all the Grihastha devotees, especially their duty is to keep the deity at home. But particulars we need to see. That's my understanding. You can talk to Revati Putru if you want some practical things to discuss. He's a congregation ministry, not ministry, but he is the main guiding personality. So, but yeah, but without deity at home, it becomes quite difficult to make our temple more home as a temple atmosphere, which is surcharging the home. And especially for the children, just like Prabhupada, when he was a child, how he was so attracted to the deities, because his father was worshipping the deities. And we see many examples in Uddhav case also, in Jiva Goswami's case also. have all the deities and they are all playing with the deities. That's the main aspect of Grihastha. Grihastha means children, and children needs a lot of engagement. They cannot be quiet. So that's the main aspect of the Grihasthas, to be with the deities. But what standards, that need to be discussed. Text 28. Dharma artha kama mokshamscha sahopayan yatha mune nanakyane tihaseshu varnayam asat tattvavet. Please read.
Then he described the occupational duties of different orders and statuses of life, citing instances from history, for he was himself well acquainted with the truth. Incidents mentioned in such Vedic literature such as Puranas, Mahabharata, and Ramayana are factual historical events that took place sometime in the past, although they are not related in the chronological order. Such historical facts, being instructive for ordinary men, were assorted without chronological reference. Beside that, they happen on different planets, nay, in different universes, and thus the description of narration is sometimes measured by 3 dimensions. We are simply concerned with the instructive lessons of such incidents, even though they are not in order by our limited range of understanding. Bhishma Dev describes such narrations before Maharaj Yudhishthir in reply to his different questions.
Yeah, thank you. So Prabhupada mentioning about authority, there whatever Bhishma spoke is not just whimsical, but they're authoritative based on scriptures. Varanayamasa tattvavet nanakyana itihaseshu. So whatever we say, we should be based on scriptures. That's the main point. Prabhupada also mentioned many times. All the dharmas that he spoke, Vishnu Jagadagara is saying, all the dharmas that are described can be placed ultimately in 4 categories: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. He mentions these categories in order to strengthen what he has been said. What has been said. So he's just categorizing. He's a perfect teacher. How to make them understand. Finally, giving a summary: dharma, artha, kama, mokshas, putting them in the categorization and giving the summary of what he want to say. And Prabhupada mentions mainly that we are simply concerned with the instructive lessons of such incidents, even though they are not in order by our limited range of understanding. Especially Srimad Bhagavatam or many other scriptures are not in chronological order. We don't know the timeline exactly what happened when. But definitely they are more for giving us understanding about different aspects, different essence that they are trying to give, and we should learn from great souls. So we need to seek the essence by understanding the context. The conclusions will be there in any scripture, but on our own we may not be able to draw them out. By our own understanding, we cannot draw them out, the conclusions of the scriptures. Only by hearing from the great souls, hearing from authorities, we can try to understand what is being said in scriptures. That's why it is said, Yatha teve tata guru tassaihi ki katita arda prakashante mahatmana yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tata guru tasyehi katitahi arda. As Grace Kanai was explaining the verse in the last Brahmachari class, katitahi arda, what is spoken in the scriptures is to be heard from a spiritual master, because he knows the conclusion, and he also from case to case he gives the conclusion how to apply in our life. So that's why it's very important to hear from authorities. So till now, the inquiries and Bhishma's reply about different aspects of dharma or the kama moksha, or different dharmas that are inquired by Yudhishthira Maharaj are answered by Bhishma Dev. And he emphasized also the Bhagavad Dharma, how one should be, how the king should take care of the kingdom and the people in such a way that they are ultimately going towards the spiritual activities. Not that they are just caught up in the material dharmic activities, varnashrama only, but the main aim should be to come to the spiritual standards. That's how the king should take care. Okay, text from 29 to 31. So how Bhishma's, we'll just complete this section and we'll take a break. Then the praise will start. So Bhishma, now it's almost, now Bhishma gave all the kinds of lessons to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj is quite pacified, understanding all situations. And Bhishma also understood that Yudhishthira Maharaj is quite confident now, he's quite pacified. And he also understood now is the time is coming for me to leave the body, because Krishna is there before me and it's the best time to leave my body. So that's how he decides to concentrate on Krishna. So these verses speak about how Bhishma's withdrawal. Text 29. Dharmam pravadatastasya sakala pratyupastitaha yo yoginaschandam mrityor vanchitas uttarayana. Is it?
While Bhishmadev was describing occupational duties, the sun's course ran into the northern hemisphere. This period is desired by mystics who die at their will.
Mm.
Chand-
Prabhupada explains about Chando Mrityur, Icha Mrityu, and constellations, how yogis, Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, that at different times, Krishna speaks also in Gita that how at different times leaving the body, they achieve at different destinations. Krishna speaks. The Prabhupada mentions about these aspects. But we know that how Bhishma got that Chando Mrityu is Icha Mrityu. You all know that one. So that he wanted to leave the. Please read the highlight version.
Perfection of yoga means attainment of a supramental state that enables one to leave the material body as desired and reach any planet within no time, without any of the material vehicles, so much advertised by the less intelligent materialistic scientists.
Attainment of a supramental state that enables one to leave the material body. So that is the perfection of yoga. And Prabhupada speaks about yogis and versus scientists. Last para read.
He was just waiting for the suitable moment to quit his material body, and the golden opportunity arrived when he was instructing his noble grandsons, the Pandavas. He thus prepared himself to quit his body before the exalted Lord Sri Krishna, the pious Pandavas, and the great sages headed by Bhagwan, Vyas, etc., all great souls.
As he is preparing now. So what Prabhupada mentions about how yogis and scientists and especially devotees, three concepts, how they are trying to artificially to elevate themselves, but they cannot. That was the main point of the purport. Text 30. Tadopasamhritya girah sahasranir vimukta sangam manadi purushe Krishne lasatpita pate chaturbhuje parastite militadrug vyadharayat. Please read. Translate.
Thereupon, that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meanings and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men stopped speaking, and being completely freed from all bondage, withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him four-handed, dressed in yellow garments that glittered and shone.
So we need to know and execute the priorities. Bhishma had a Ichamritu. He might have thought, let me continue instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj. I can die at any moment. I can keep on instructing. What is the problem? Right now. I can keep on speaking because there is no time, there is no, I will not die till that moment I decide. I can keep on speaking. Why didn't speak then? He didn't thought. Because he understood because he saw that Yudhishthira Maharaj is convinced now and there is no need extra instructions. So then he withdraw himself. So we need to understand when to speak, how much to speak, and when to stop. Otherwise, in counseling, especially, we keep on speaking and we keep on speaking, the fellow will be frustrated. So we need to give them time also as well to absorb. And we need to understand when to stop and when to speak and when to absorb ourselves in our own activities. So that's Bhishma Devi's teaching. And Prabhupada mainly quotes from Bhagavad Gita from 8th chapter, how one leaves this body. Please read the highlight version.
Subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. Therefore, if one is absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, he is sure to go back to Godhead without any doubt.
Mhm. If one is absorbed in thoughts of Supreme Lord, he's sure. So Prabhupada quotes all these slokas from 8th chapter. And read highlight version.
Wanted to see Sri Krishna for a long time out of his spontaneous love for him. Because he was a pure devotee, he had very little to do with the detailed performance of yogic principles.
Hmm. So he is always longing to keep on having the vision of Krishna in his eyes, in his drinking beauty. Text 31. Vishuddhaya dharanaya hata shubhas tadikshana sugata yudashramah nivritta sarvendriya vritti vibramas tushta vajanyam visruja janardhanam. Is it translation?
By pure meditation, looking at Lord Sri Krishna, he at once freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus, all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendently to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body.
So here, at once freed from all material inauspiciousness by just looking at Krishna, by pure meditation. By focusing on Krishna, we will be purified. Prabhupada gives the example of sun, both by purification and removing the darkness. Read.
The
First paragraph.
material body is a gift of the material energy, technically called illusion.
Continue.
Identification with the material body is due to forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Lord. For a pure devotee of the Lord, like Bhishma Dev, this illusion was at once removed as soon as the Lord arrived. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and the illusory external material energy is like the darkness. In the presence of the sun, there is no possibility that darkness can stand. Therefore, just on the arrival of Lord Krishna, all material contamination was completely removed, and Bhishma Dev was thus able to be transcendentally situated by stopping the activities of the impure senses in collaboration with matter.
So here, Vishmadev is completely withdraw his consciousness and absorbed in Krishna. It's a very tough task, especially when we are chanting. We are supposed to withdraw from all the material things that we are trying to do and absorb in Krishna and hearing and remembering Krishna. But we need to practice that as well. Prabhupada writes a beautiful, the material body is a gift of material energy, technically called illusion. So identification with this material body is due to our forgetfulness. So the more we identify with the body and with our external things, the more it becomes quite difficult to withdraw the consciousness externally and to engage the consciousness in what we are trying to do spiritually, especially this sadhana, chanting. While services, it is maybe on external level, we are trying to engage all the senses. But when we are trying to do sadhana, we need to withdraw all the external elements from all the external elements and then absorb our consciousness in Krishna. That's our responsibility. It's in our hands. So till now, yeah. Correct. That information is not spoken here, nor I heard. but he might be seeing a 400 form because he desired that Krishna may be manifesting for him. It is not mentioned correct like that. Vishwarupa only what seen by Arjuna. Any comment? Anyone else? So he only is manifesting himself to Bhishma Dev, 400 form. So till now we have seen that aspects of how Bhishma Dev established Krishna as the Supreme Lord, Absolute Truth, and he is expecting him to be his side. From text 18 to 24, we saw that one. And after that, we have seen how Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired many aspects, and Bhishma Dev replied with many dharmas, ending with Bhagavad Dharma as the essence of for all. And then now he withdrew from all those. Generally, when we give a class or when we give something counseling or any when we deal with some other aspects, the consciousness is absorbed in that. The moment we come to another anything else, that thing hangover it goes on right inside. So now Bhishma is not at all having a hangover of all these dharmas that I spoke or anything like that. He's just absorbed in Krishna, and his full consciousness is coming out in his prayers. What exactly he's trying to, what he's absorbed in his prayers. They are very, very beautiful. And we will try to see some aspects. We may not be able to cover all, I mean, all the aspects, but we'll try to see some things after the break. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We will meet 12:25. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay. So we start with Bhishma's prayers. This tune is little different. I'm also trying to learn. You need Devanagari or English? Or both? Is it okay? Size? Okay. Okay, recite. Shri Bhishma Uvacha Iti Materopakalpita Vitrushna Bhagavati Satvata Pungave Vibhumni Swasukam Upagate Kvachit Vihartum Prakritim Upeyushi Yad Bhava Pravaha. Please read.
Bhismadev said, "Let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all powerful Lord Sri Krishna. He is always self satisfied, but sometimes, being the leader of the devotees, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although it is from him only that the material world is created."
So now Vishmadev, with full concentration and full devotion, he is trying to offer his thoughts to the Lord. That's what the comment that let me offer my gifts, because Lord personally came all the way. So to a guest, we generally offer some gifts when they come. So Bhishmadev lying on the arrow bed in the battlefield and not in a position to give some gifts, or not in a proper position to offer some obeisances, anything, except some words. So that's why he's saying that let me offer gift of my thoughts to my dear Lord. So the one beauty of these verses is not directly addressing the Lord who is before him. So there is no any second person saying any word that comes, okay, I offer to you, Tvam. The word, let's say Prahlad Maharaj offering prayers to Narasimhadev. Please keep me in your service, or please keep me engaged your service, or your servant's service, etc. There is no any kind of uses of second person. He only uses third person. Unto him, unto him. So that's what the main comment also, that he is addressing to that personality who is his favorite charioteer, his favorite lord. In the battlefield when he was fighting, who was the lord that who was in chariot and who is ready to fight. So that to that lord is saying, is addressing to that kind of personality. So in that sense, he is sharing that one. These verses are like that. We'll just see the verses. I'll just show. So there are very so Shri Bhishma Vacha, he is saying about especially his mati, iti matirupakalpita Krishna. My laptop sometimes gives me a lot of trouble. So it crashed here. So he's saying iti matirupakalpita. So first verse starts with matir. Let my mati be drawn. Hare Krishna again. So let my mati be drawn towards Krishna. That's what he's saying. And all the other verses he says, let my rati vijay sake rati rastu mein. Next, all the many verses he speaks about let my rati be unto the Supreme Lord, unto that Supreme Lord. And later on he says, let my gati, use the word gati, be that Supreme Lord. So I just lost the connection. So he uses these three words, mati, rati, and gati. So these are beautiful way of mentioning the Lord. When we engage our mati in the Lord, we gradually progress in our sadhana bhakti towards rati, ruchi, and asakti. Asakti is considered as rati. So that stages, and then our final stage gati, our actual sarupa, our final destination we can achieve. But it starts with our mati. We need to engage our mind and consciousness in the Lord. So in that way we can develop that rati also towards the particular personality, or towards the Lord especially. And then our destination will be, final destination with the final gati will be the Lord. That's how many of the verses he says about let my rati be unto you, my dear Lord. And he especially focuses on first few 2-3 verses on the beauty of the Lord in the battlefield. As though Bhishmadev is fighting the battle, but all his concentration was how beautiful the Lord is. That's an amazing insight here. That though he is fighting the battle, which is quite generally battles are very fearful and quite gruesome, very, very. You can give them a co-host. Make me co-host. So generally battles are not at all time to meditate. But Bhishmadev was very much attracted to that form of the Lord who is ready to fight. And Bhishma, we know that aspects also. You might have heard how Bhishmadev made Krishna to give up his vow and take up the chariot wheel or take up the weapon to fight with him. That's what one or two verses explain these aspects also. So Bhishmadev is remembering all those aspects of what are all Krishna's special mercy on him and what his aspirations are explained here in these verses. I'm just sharing the document. Uh, So in the first prayer, he's saying that let me withdraw my senses and invest everything in the Itimatir Upakalpita. Let me invest all my consciousness in that Supreme Lord. 632. Okay, nice. Let me invest my consciousness and my all by thinking, feeling, and willing in the Supreme Lord. So Upakalpita, let me invest in Krishna. So that's what he's saying. In order to achieve pure devotional service, he wanted to invest all powers of thinking, feeling, and willing entirely in Supreme Being, Lord Krishna. We need to consciously invest in our Supreme Lord's form, our name, and activities and pastimes. We need to consciously engage our mind and senses in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada explains different words, Upakalpita and then Satopungava. Satopungava means is the leader of all the devotees. Who is the leader? Satopungava. Whom is addressing? The leader of devotees is Krishna. So itimati rupakalpita vitrishna, without any desire, without any sensual desires, freedom from all sense desires. Let me invest my consciousness, mati, in whom? In Bhagavati, in Sato Pungave, the leader of the senses, who is also Vibhumni, the great. So this is all some addresses to the Lord. And then he's expressing, he sometimes manifests in this material world for in various ways he's engaged in creational aspects for his transcendental pleasure. So that's what is expressed in the next two lines. That's what you want to express in the first verse. That let me invest my everything in Krishna. And that same Lord, he enjoys transcendental pleasure by descending to the material world, although it is from him only that material world is created. So first he is expressing that his opulence of greatness, how he descends into this material world. Sato Punge Prabhupada comments. Please read.
He is highlighted only.
Yeah, highlight.
He is the leader of all the living beings. As the king of the state rules both the prisoners and the free citizens. But his dealings are different in terms of devotee and non-devotee. Non-devotees never care to take any instruction from the Lord, and therefore the Lord is silent in their case. Though he witnesses all their activities and awards them necessary results, good or bad.
So, though he is the leader of devotees, and definitely he is the leader for all living entities because he is the source for all. Aham bija pradapita. He is the father. Father means he is the leader, he is the king. But still, he is a leader for the devotees in the sense that those who take shelter of him, he takes care of him more directly, not indirectly. So that is Sato Pungave. And there is proper comments on that one. Please read that yellow.
The Lord also desires the association of his pure devotees, and for them only the Lord descends to the earth and enlivens them. The Lord appears out of his own will. He is not forced by the conditions of the material nature. He is therefore described here as the Vibhu or the Almighty, for he is never conditioned by the laws of material nature.
Why he comes to the material world? Of course, you might have read in Kunti Maharani's section, or 4, 5, 6 verses, I think. Why Lord descends? What are the different reasons? She explains, Kechidahu Rajam Jatam Punya Shlokasya Kirtaye Eto Priya Sanvavaye Malayaseva Chandanam Bharavatarnayanye Bhuvo Navayuvedadau, to reduce the burden of the earth, to glorify your dynasty and giving pleasure to your Devaki and Vasudev, etc. But the main reason that he comes is for what? What she concludes in prayers? For what main reason? What is that? Finally, she concludes.
Pleasure to it devotees. Or giving pleasure to
Shranvanti gayanti grananta vikshanasaha smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana tayeva pashyanta chirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padambujam. He comes to revive the devotional service. And also, as Prabhupada mentioning here, that he also desires the association of his pure devotees. All these things, not only for the conditioned souls, for the general souls to give them bhakti, he comes to revive that 9 process of devotional service. He comes, Shranvanti Gayanti Grananta Vikshanasaha. But at the same time, he also relishes the association of his devotees, especially. He wants to give his transcendental association and enliven them. Those devotees who come here for the sake of the Lord, for their purpose, he comes. Because of the compassion, the Lord's devotees come to this world to give us bhakti, just like Narada Muni is always traveling to give bhakti. But for the sake of devotees, he comes and gives his association, gives them enlightenment and enlivenment by his association. That also is his main purpose. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. For them only Lord descends to the earth and enlivens them out of his own free will. Is not forced by any conditions of material nature. What is the verse in Gita? Srujanti, how he descends out of his own free will. Atmamaya, Sambhavami Atmamaya. What is the verse? Sambhavami Atmamaya. Krishna descends out of his own free will. Sambhavami Atmamaya. I don't remember exact verse. But it is out of his own free will. And also to please his devotees, he descends to this world. He's not forced by, just like we are forced, all the living entities are forced to take birth. But अजोपि सन् अव्ययात्मा भूतानाम् ईश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामवस्थाय संभवामि आत्माय. I take birth according to own free will, Atmaya. Okay. So the first verse is mainly focused on how, he is saying that, let me offer my gifts of thoughts, let me engage my all thinking, feeling and willing in that Lord who descends to this world to give enlightenment to his devotees out of his free will. Text 33. त्रिभुवनकमनं तमालवर्णं रविकरगौरवरम्बरं दधाने अपुरलककुलावृताननाब्जं विजयसखेरतिरस्तु मे नवद्या. Please read translation.
Sri Krishna is the intimate friend of Arjuna. He has appeared on this earth in his transcendental body, which resembles the bluish color of the tamal tree. His body attracts everyone in the three planetary system, upper, middle, and lower. May his glittering yellow dress and his lotus face covered with paintings of sandalwood pulp be the object of my attraction, and may I not desire productive results.
So what is the nature of those thoughts? So that's what's the explanation here. The nature of thoughts is explaining. First is glorifying the beauty of the Lord. So generally the prayers, all the prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam are mainly expressing from their hearts, is the essence of their being, what they are actually. But that's what the content of the prayers generally. Anywhere we take prayers, either we take Kunti Maharani, Bhishma Dev, and Arjuna, or Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Rudrasur Maharaj, whoever it may be, they are the very essence of their being as a prayer comes in form of prayers. So here also Bhishma Dev's consciousness and Bhishma Dev's absorption, we can try to see in his prayers. He is very much attracted to the beauty of the Lord and the form of the Lord, especially in the battlefield. That is always absorption. So in the first verses, he's glorifying his opulence in terms of how he created the world in the first verse. And he attracts, especially in the second verse, his beauty is explained. How the beauty of, he is comparing with the tamal tree, bluish color, tamala varanam. Tribhuvana kamanam. Of all the, what kind of beauty? The beauty is that it attracts everyone in the Tribhuvana. All the three worlds are attracted. And is wearing Ravikara Gaura Varambaram Didhane, wearing a shining Pitavarna, that which is shining in the sunshine also. It's glittering in the sunshine. So on to that Lord, Vijay Sakhe, Prabhupada beautifully comments also. Vijay Sakha is addressed here to the Lord in connection with his devotee. Who is Vijay Sakha? It's a friend of Arjun. Vijaya means is comparing to Vijaya is for the Arjun. Vijaya Sakha is Krishna. Vijaya Sakhe. Pratirastu me. Let my attraction be in him. Pratirastu me Vijaya Sakhe. Anavadya, without any fruitive results. Okay. Please read highlight version. This one.
While fighting was going on between Arjuna and Bhishma, Bhishma's attraction was drawn by the glittering dress of Krishna, and indirectly he admired his so-called enemy Arjuna for possessing the Lord as his friend.
So this is also a loving relationship. When you are loving someone, then you are attracted to all the features, like whatever the beloved, at all levels of their form, their beauty, their dress, etc. Everything is they are absorbed in. That is the nature of love, right now. But in the battlefield, when you go to battlefield, when you are fighting with other, or let us suppose when you are quarreling with other if ashram mate, any other one, when you are quarreling, do you absorb in what he is wearing and how he is beautiful and all? No. In generally, when you are become angry with your friend or becoming angry with anyone, you are not absorbed in how beautiful he is. You are in some other mood, some other consciousness. But here, Bhishma's amazing attraction. See, Prabhupada also writes that his attraction is in a glittering dress of Krishna. Indirectly admired his so-called enemy Arjun for possessing Lord as his friend, Vijaya Sakhe. So externally battle, but internally is drinking and relishing the beauty. So that's amazing Bhishma's consciousness and Bhishma's position. That's where the intimate relationship matters. When you have deep love, they immediately try to connect. When we have deep love, we immediately try to connect to the personality or anything that we come across. Just like Prabhupada also gave example, where when you see my spectacles on my table, if I am not there, if a disciple sees, what he will remember? Immediately Prabhupada will remember. He Prabhupada and Prabhupada is everything is just comes out as a volcano of remembrances, because they have great love. Those who have great love, any kind of object or anything related to them, any object liked by him. So that's the spur of emotions are very intense. So here is seeing the beauty of the Lord, especially the Pita Varna, the clothes shining in the sun is very much attracting to Bhishmadev. Yeah, continue.
Bhishmadev take this opportunity to address the Lord as Vijay Sakhe, friend of Arjuna, because the Lord is pleased when he is addressed conjointly with his devotees who are related with him in different transcendental humors.
So Krishna likes to be addressed by in conjoint with devotees, because he loves the devotees. When he hears the name of his beloved, immediately he becomes attentive. That's why it's also recommended that we, by Rupa Goswami in 64 principles, that stava part, Vignapti and stava part he mentions. You all definitely might have read 64 principles. Vignapti and stava part. Vignapti is our own kind of petitions to the Lord. Vignapti, our own conditions, conditionings, or whatever that we are undergoing, that we need to expressing to the Lord is Vignapti. But stava part is what actually already stuti is done by the great souls, Kunti Maharani, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, or the Vrindavan Vasis, etc. What they offered to the Gopi Geet, what they offered to the Lord. When we start reciting, because they are recited by his beloveds, immediately he'll become and hey, who is reciting? So he reminds of his own devotees. That's the understanding, stava part. He reminds, we trying to remind, we don't remind, but it gives pleasure to Krishna, because Krishna, when he hears that these are all recited by my pure devotee, Vrtrasur Maharaj, or whoever, so he's more pleased that we are reciting their prayers also. So that's the main point, in conjunction with the devotees. That's the main principle of bhakti also. We always go through the channel of his beloveds. Yeah, Vijaya Sakhi, that word is expressed by, explained by Prabhupada. Here Prabhupada explains artificial attraction versus genuine devotion. Please read this one.
As a great fighter, he was relishing the relation with Krishna in the chivalrous humor, transcendental relation with the Lord. In any one of the different rasas, humors is relishable by the respective devotees in the highest ecstasy. Less intelligent mundaners who want to make a show of being transcendently related with the Lord artificially jump at once to the relation of conjugal love, imitating the damsel of Brasdham.
So, so devotee has to naturally develop his love. We cannot just jump uh, from lower stages to higher stages immediately without any proper understanding of Siddhanta also. So definitely it is there. Definitely the process works. The process has to be followed. As Madhuri Kadambani explains, when we gradually grow from Shraddha stages to further stages, things will blossom. And different, as Prabhupada mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita introduction also, one is meant to develop his relationship with the Lord in the five rasas. So here, as Prabhupada mentioning that he is our Bhishma Dev as a great fighter. His relation is in chivalrous humor, Viryaras. Of course, we understand is Dasiras is the basics as the Thai Bhav, but as Viryaras also adds to that in giving a pleasure to the Lord in a fighting mood. So we should not take these things cheaply, but at the same time we can try to practice them more seriously so that we are also given that opportunity. Yes, please read the comment.
In the prayers of following verses also, there is no use of the second person. Although Krishna was present before him, this indicates his attraction for the sweetness of the Lord absorbed in Virasa during the battle and his absorption in relishing it.
So there is no second person usage of let me engage you in your service or let me fight with you, etc. But is always in third person. So he is absorbed in Virras and also want to release that one. Text 34. Now this is also another deeper aspect of his beauty. He could not satisfy himself by describing in one verse. He want to elaborately release that beauty. He is giving more details. Yudito ragarajo vidhumra veshva kuchalalita shramabari alankrutasye mama nishita sharai vipityamana tvachi vilasat kavachestu krishnatma.
On the battlefield where Sri Krishna attended Arjuna out of friendship, the flowing hairs of Lord Krishna turned ashen due to the dust raised by the hooves of the horses, and because of his labor, beads of sweat wetted his face. All these decorations, intensified by the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows, were enjoyed by him. Let my mind thus go unto Sri Krishna.
The sign of love is in details, right now. So he's going more and more very attracted to his details also. That's what specific details of beauty is explained. How he is relishing the beauty of Krishna because he has such a love towards him. So please read this one.
Having spoken of Krishna's face surrounded by lock of hair, Bhishma cannot give up that sweetness. Again, he describes more details.
He is describing more details of how he is Yudituragarajo Vidhumra Vishwak. Shri Turaga is a horses. That the horses, when they go in the battlefield, all the dust generally it's risen. And just like Krishna comes back in the evening from the forest, all the Godhuli is like rising and it's all been kind of the Godhuli is coming and covering them. But that is also very much shining. That is called Panduranga. That's why his name is Panduranga. Why is Panduranga? Huh?
The dust of Raja is
Ah,
on his.
the dust is covered. That's why it became kind of a whitish, because the Goduli is in white in color. That's why it's called Panduranga. That name came. That's because the Dhuli walking from the sorry, not battlefield, from the forest of Vrindavan. So it was raised by all the cows, and it covers him, and it becomes more beautiful than in natural way. So that's how his name was also called Panduranga, became whitish. So here also Bhishma Dev is relishing that Yuti Turaka Rajo Vidhumra Vishwak. And what else? Kuchalalita Shamavari Alankrita, because of his fighting and the perspiration, all the sweat beads are coming from his face, and that is very much decorating. Is kind of a decoration on his face. So, and also he's relishing his viriras. When I shot my arrows, that piercing his body, and it is making intensified wounds. Of course, the meaning is given by Acharyas also. It's not a material body, but at the same time, it's a spiritual body, just to encourage, inspire Bhishma Dev and give relish. Krishna is manifesting those kinds of expressions on the body. Okay, Prabhupada explains the transcendental exchanges happen in Shantadasa Sakya Madhurya. And Bhishma Dev is a great devotee of the Lord in the relationship of Sarvator. Yeah, Dasirasa is Prabhupada mentioned here, you see. So Dasirasa is the main basis, the foundation, Sthaibhav, and further the secondary rasas add to the primaries, so that it gives more and more enjoyment to both of them. Vividyamana Tvachi is explained here by Jiva Goswami also. Jiva Goswami gives a different, another way of understanding what he's saying. Please read.
Since Bhishma was on side of Asuras in battle, Lord made this appearance of being pierced. Now Bhishma regrets this as if it was bad dream.
Read.
It appears that Bhishma Dev is repenting the actions he committed against the person of the Lord, but factually the Lord's body was not at all pained due to his transcendental existence. His body is not matter. Both he himself and his body are complete spiritual identity.
Now Prabhupada gives more from Gita and other Puranas how body and soul are different for the conditioned soul. But yeah, here the mood is expressed by Jiva Goswami that he is repenting because I caused him a lot of pain. But transcendentally, he's exchanging the rasa with Bhishma Dev. But in fact, there is no any kind of pain in the body of the Lord. Yes, please read this para.
When Lord Vishnu in his incarnation appears before us, he seems to be like one of the conditioned souls, materially engaged just to bewilder the asuras or the non-believers who are always alert to kill the Lord, even from the very beginning of his appearance. Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna and Ravana wanted to kill Rama because foolishly they were unaware of the fact that the Lord is never killed or the spirit is never annihilated.
Yeah, Asura Mohan Leela, this is called. Some pastimes are called Asura Mohan Leelas because to bewilder all non-atheists, non-devotees, atheists. One time, Jayadvaita Maharaj was asked, Param Puja Jayadvaita Maharaj was asked question, how Lord is allowing his deities to be attacked and broken in his temples. Why the Lord is allowing the atheists and aggressors that they go to different temples and break the different deities. So his reply, short and profound reply, to keep the faith of the atheist intact. So just to keep the faith of the atheist intact. That's so they can go on with their activities. That's what they wanted to prove. The Lord is allowing them. That's called Asuru Mohan. This is the same way here. For the bewilderment of the atheist, here he's exhibiting the kind of bruises and all the kind of blood, etc. on his body too. Others may think that he's an ordinary person. But for Bhishma, it's a very transcendental exchange. But as for Asuras, Satis, they are bewildered by seeing they are he is taking him as an ordinary person. Continue.
Therefore, Bhishma Dev piercing of the body of Lord Krishna is a sort of bewildering problem for the devotee, non-devotee atheist. But those who are devotees or liberated souls are not bewildered. Bhishma Dev appreciated the all-merciful attitude of the Lord. Although he had been disturbed by Bhishma Dev's sharp arrows, he had not left Arjuna alone, nor was he reluctant to come before Bhishma's deathbed, even though he had been ill-treated by him on the battlefield. Bhishma's repentance and the Lord's merciful attitude are both unique in this picture.
So, Prabhupada is combining both Jiva Goswami's and Vishnu Thakur's commentaries that he's also in one sense repenting. I made offense to the Lord. At the same time, he's relishing the merciful attitude at this time. Okay. Next. 3 lines. Read.
Shri,
Read.
Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a great acharya and devotee in the humor of conjugal love with the Lord, remarks very saliently in this regard.
Yeah, this is the famous example of how a lover bites the fiancée in their loving dealings. That's what Prabhupada explains. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is commenting on this aspect of how just like a lover bites, that doesn't matter to the beloved. So similarly here, Bhishma Dev is relishing these kinds of fights and these kind of exchanges with the Lord, with arrows and with wounds, etc. It's a more relish. It may appear to be very gruesome, but it's more giving relish. So that's what Vishnu Chakravarti explains, and Prabhupada also quotes here. Please read this one.
The apparent wounds caused by the sharp arrows are misleading to the common man, but one who has a little absolute knowledge can understand the transcendental exchange in the chivalrous relation. The Lord was perfectly happy with the wounds caused by the sharp arrows of Bhishma Dev. The word Vibhidyamana is significant because the Lord's skin is not different from the Lord. Because our skin is different from our soul, in our case, the word Vibhidyamana or being bruised and cut would have been quite suitable.
So it is not applied to the Lord, but it applies to us only, Vidimana. So it is said, it is a comment also that when Lord is fighting everywhere, there was blood everywhere. So blood from other soldiers and other kings who are killed. So that comes under the Lord's body, and it appears to be blood coming from his body. So that is also an explanation to understand how it is not coming from his body, transcendental body. So because in the battle he is there, and everywhere things are going on. Everybody is killing and everybody is fighting and killing. So blood from others' bodies, soldiers, etc., that might have definitely touching the body of the Lord, and that appears to be coming from his own body, but it's not. But it's all relishing to the Bhishma. Bhishma is relishing all these exchanges with the Lord. Please read here this one.
Because everything in the mundane world is qualitatively mundane, it is full of inebrities, whereas in the absolute realm, because everything is of the same absolute nature, there are varieties of enjoyment without inebriety.
Yeah, last also is also read.
The Lord enjoyed the wounds created by his great devotees Bhishma Dev, and because Bhishma Dev was a devotee, in the chivalrous relation, he fixed up his mind on Krishna in that wounded condition.
He's relishing that one. So basically, these two verses is explained that how Lord is so beautiful. Bhishma is glorifying the beauty of the Lord. His beautiful faces and his color and the wounds, apparent wounds on the body of the Lord, that was glorified in these two verses. The beauty basically is focusing on the beauty of the Lord. Now, text 35 36 is he is in connection with the activities. Now he spoke about the beauty aspect. Now he is speaking about activities. These are all in the battlefield only. In the battlefield, what activities is very much pleasing to him is expressing here. 35 and 36 explains about how he is very much obedient to Arjun and also is very kind to enlighten him in Bhagavad Gita. So that was spoken in 35 and 36. Yeah. Thirty-third last. Okay.
So a genuine relation in the living being they can take any form of the five principal rasas, and it does not make any difference in transcendental degree to the genuine devotee.
Mm.
What is this meaning, brother?
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference in the transcendental degree to the genuine devotee. Devotee is fully satisfied in particular rasa. Yeah. If I am in Shantarasa, it is not that I am envious of Madhuri Rasa. He is satisfied in his transcendental degree. So that is the meaning.
For him, that rasa is
For
top.
him, he is fully satisfied. He is not envious. He is not hankering. अरे यार मैं गोपा हूँ कैसे मैं राधा रानी कैसे नहीं बना. They are not thinking like that in the spiritual world. They are fully satisfied in their rasas. Nor they are envious. Nor grass is thinking, "Arey, why didn't I become a gopa, gopi?" Or no, they are satisfied. They are fully satisfied in giving pleasure to Lord. The birds, different animals, monkeys, in their own transcendental degree, they are satisfied. So that's the Prabhupada is making. A genuine relation of the living being with the Supreme Lord can take any form out of five principal rasas. Prabhupada is mainly saying five principles, but seven secondary also there, which adds to the flavor to the five rasas. And it doesn't make any difference in transcendental degree to the genuine devotee. Yeah, that's the understanding. Okay. We are in text 35. Please repeat. Sapadi saki vacho nishamya madhye nija parayor balayor radham nivesha sthitavati parashainikayo rakshna ritavati pardha sakhe ratir mamastu. So pardha sakhe ratir mamastu. Let my rati be in pardha saka. What was the last verse? Vijaya Sakhe. Here is Pardha Sakha. So same are both meaning, but different words. Sapadi Saki Vacho. Sapadi means in the battlefield. Saki Vacho. He spoke command. He asked, he requested, or he commanded. In the war, his command is there. So by hearing the Krishna's, Arjuna's words, what is the Gita shloka in Gita? Senayor bhayor madhye radham stapayame achyuta. That's what the order by Arjun, and Krishna followed it. Nishamya madhye sapati sakivacho nishamya madhye nijaparayor balayor radham niveshya stitavati para shainikayur akshna. By looking at them, yeah, let us read the translation. Please read. Beauty of his activities. Raise the voice.
In the obedience to the command of his friend, Lord Shri Krishna entered the arena of the battlefield of Kurukshetra between the soldiers of Arjun and Duryodhan. And while there he shortened the lifespans of the opposite party by his merciful glance. This was done simply by his looking at the enemy. Let my mind be fixed upon that Krishna.
Let my mind be fixed on that Krishna who is so congenial, who is so not congenial, who is so obedient to his beloved friend. He is taking the orders and to the commands of his friend and establishing the chariot. And while doing that, he reduced the span. This aspect of reducing the span comes in 2-3 times in Bhagavatam also later on. In 14th chapter, where you read Arjuna's remembrance of Krishna's merciful nature, Bhaktavatsalada, on the Pandavas, on him, he remembers in 14th chapter or 15th, I think, when Krishna left this planet and when all the inauspicious omens happen and all the Pandavas retires timely, that chapter, 15th chapter, Arjuna remembering all those activities by Krishna. So in that he remembers by his beauty, he controlled the Bhishma. By his glance, he reduced the span of all the soldiers. These slokas will come. I mean, much more explanation is there, but he uses 2, 3, 4 words, 4, 5 qualities. By his attractive beauty, he controlled the, especially Bhishma and soldier, the main warriors. By his glance, he reduced the life of soldiers. And 2, 3 come, 2, 3 more he explains. Huh? In 15th chapter. Bhagavatam, 1.15. Yeah. Tomorrow I'll show the verse. Right now I don't have time. Tomorrow I'll just see and show you the verse. Beautiful verse that also. Arjuna remembering how Krishna made in such a way that everything is very favorable for my winning the battle. He has done. He is so favoring to me. So that's what's the explanation. So here also we see that how Bhishma Deva is attracted to the beauty. And here about the glance, he reduced the span of the soldiers. Okay. So now Prabhupada explains about the love swaps the roles. Because of love, anything can do anyone when we in the loving relationship. So please read that this purport here. The Lord.
The Lord, being the supreme living being, is never the order supplier or order carrier of anyone, whoever he may be, but out of his causeless mercy and affection for his pure devotees. Sometimes he carries out the order of the devotees like an awaiting servant. By executing the order of a devotee, the Lord becomes pleased, as a father is pleased to carry out the order of his small child. This is possible only out of pure transcendental love between the Lord and his devotees. And Bhishma Dev was quite aware of this fact. He therefore addressed the Lord as the friend of the Arjuna.
So now basically the principle is the Lord is conquered by love of his devotees. He is ready to do anything. Just like Prabhupada is giving a beautiful example. Father is pleased to carry out the order of small child. So we also see every day in temple hall, children keep on demanding their fathers, let us take me there, take me, go there, go here. So they are kindly, please pick me up. They have to pick up the child. Right now. So that's the nature of loving father. So here also Bhishma Dev is relishing that aspect of the Lord. Then the Prabhupada explains the next 2 lines. Akrishna Ritavati. By his glance, he is reducing the life. Please read this one.
Therefore, the diminishing duration of life of Arjuna's enemy does not mean that he was partial to the cause of Arjuna. Actually, he was merciful to the opposite party because they would not have attained salvation by dying at home in the ordinary course of life.
Yeah. They might have not attained salvation. So he was merciful to the opposite party also. So last para.
Therefore, the Lord is all good, and whatever he does is for everyone's good. Apparently, it was for the victory of Arjuna, his intimate friend, but factually, it was for the good of Arjuna's enemies. Such are the transcendental activities of the Lord. And whosoever understands this also gets salvation after quitting this material body.
Hmm.
The Lord does not go wrong in any circumstance because He is absolute, all good at all times.
Whatever Lord does is always absolute. It benefits everyone and anyone at any time. There is nothing wrong in any activity that He does. So it's all mercy of the Lord to show on all the people in general also there in the battlefield. So for that, Prabhupada is glorifying the Lord's supremely beneficial activities of the Lord. So now 36th also explains about Krishna's merciful nature towards Arjun in explaining Gita. Text 36. व्यवहितप्रतना मुखं निरीक्ष्य स्वजन व्यधात्मकस्य दोषबुद्ध्या पुमतिं महरत् आत्मविद्ययाय चरणरति परमस्य तस्य मेस्तु. Please read translation.
Last were decrease.
No. Read one.
When Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. May his lotus feet always remain the object of my attraction.
Bhishma Dev is relishing how Krishna inspired Arjuna to fight. If he is really an enemy, he should have depressed. How he was. Krishna is inspiring Arjuna and he is making me to fight. Arjuna already dejected. He will not fight. If at all Bhishma Dev is a real enemy, he could have been dejected by hearing Gita right now, because his enemy is inspired by Krishna. But we see that the transcendental appreciation of Bhishma Dev, that he is giving inspiration and encouragement to Arjuna to fight, and that is inspiring to him. That is very much increasing his love of Krishna by seeing that act. How he is so Bhaktavatsal, how he is so kind to his devotees. He is always there to protect his devotees. By seeing that, he is very much enlivened. That's the nature of a devotee. And when he sees that Krishna is very much inspiring others, Krishna is helping others, taking ahead in spiritual life, a real devotee feels happiness and joy and inspired also. And his love also increases. That should be the nature. Our love toward the Lord has to intensify by seeing Lord's compassion on others, by Lord's loving, dealing with others. Just like Radharani and all the gopis also, they also take great pleasure when Krishna is relishing with other devotees, because Radharani also feels that they are trying to serve more Krishna than me. So that is the nature of a devotee. That's the nature of Bhishma, is also relishing this aspect, that he eradicated the ignorance by giving the transcendental knowledge. So last verse is expressing that he decreased the lifespan of enemies, and this verse is saying he destroyed the ignorance of his friend. This is the beauty of his activities. So please read the connection, what comment about this verse.
Arjuna's loss of intelligence was caused by the Lord himself, like Yudhishthira's present loss of intelligence. Because loss of Arjuna's loss of intelligence was caused by the Lord himself, like Yudhishthira's present loss of intelligence. Because loss of intelligence is impossible for the eternal associate of the Lord, who is also the avatar, Nara. Krishna did this in order to reveal Bhagavad Gita, which delivers the whole world by showing the truth about Krishna.
Yeah. So this is also a special mercy of the Lord. And Krishna did this in order to reveal Gita, which delivers the whole world by showing the truth about Krishna. That is the mercy on Krishna and Yudhishthira Maharaj also. because of Yudhishthira Maharaj, there are many things came out of Bhishma Dev, which are very much enlivening many aspects of all the dharmas that we have seen, especially Vishnu Sahasranam. And here, because of Krishna, because of Arjun, Gita is spoken out. So Prabhupada is commenting here on Vyavahita Pratana Mukha Niriksha. Leader means to lead in front. Prabhupada taking this opportunity that because what is mentioned here, see, the observing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield. So taking this point as the pretext, Prabhupada is commenting on that generally all the soldiers in Kshatriya time, in Vedic times, all Kshatriyas are in front in the battlefield. But unfortunately, not now. All they are sitting in their offices and trying to inspire the soldiers to fight. So that's what the point Prabhupada is making here. So leader means to lead in front. The kings and commanders were to stand in front of the fighting soldiers. So that Prabhupada is very much trying to give a point. He also explaining the social understanding, how present leaders are. So the leaders will lead in front. So in some services, it may be difficult to be present physically. We cannot expect, especially the leaders, to be always in front or taking a lead role so that they are the examples. Just like a book distribution. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was the leader for all his bus parties and all. Initially, he was definitely traveling with everyone, but later on, he used to make more of a administration, how to carry on, what to carry on at different levels. He may not be personally involved in terms of going and personally doing it one-to-one basis, but is leading. That is also a great service. That is also has to be done. So we cannot expect that leaders has to always be in front and lead, especially in our management. Management, they are there, but especially in services, we may sometimes expect, hey, you don't know about this service. What he knows, he's just sitting there and trying to give orders. He don't know at all the groundworks, what we are undergoing, the ground realities. Sometimes it may happen that authority may not have practical experience on particular aspects on ground, but because they have that position and they have the blessed by authorities, we try to follow. If at all, if we have any clarification, we try to do in a proper way. But that is the proper make point that but the kings are always in front. They are trying to lead. Please read this para.
As it was evident from the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all the executive heads of both parties, like Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Duryodhana, were not sleeping. All of them were actual participants in the fighting, which was selected to be executed at a place away from the civil residential quarters.
This is about point how the battles are fought away from all common people, not just trying to kill all the innocent people. Dosha buddhya kumatim. Prabhupada comments on social aspect. Nowadays, especially we see all the wars, they are only mainly aiming at innocent people to kill, first of all. Leave it out the soldiers and etc. Dosha buddhya kumatim. How he became intelligence is polluted. Prabhupada is commenting that he is just made like that, but his intelligence is not at all polluted anytime. So that's the. Please read.
His intelligence could not be polluted at any time because he was a devotee and constant companion of the Lord. As is clear in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna's intelligence became apparently polluted because otherwise there would not have been a chance to deliver the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita for the good of all polluted conditioned souls engaged in material bondage by their misconceptions concerning their relationship with the false material body.
So this is not Arjuna's internal defect, but is Krishna's special mercy. And then after speaking about Arjuna's relationship, then he is giving his own personal experience, how he elevates his devotee to a higher position than himself. So, yeah. Yeah, one by one.
Prabhuji, the translation says that when Arjuna was seemingly polluted by ignorance upon absorbing the soldiers and commanders before him on the battlefield, the Lord eradicated his ignorance by delivering transcendental knowledge. So it means everyone heard Bhagavad Gita because Bhishma Dev also knows that Bhagavad Gita has been told to Arjuna and he was bewildered before the battle. So it is a known fact to the entire क्या कहते हैं army of both the sides that Arjuna was bewildered, or how come Bhishma Dev knows, or when Bhagavad Gita was being told to Arjuna, even everyone was hearing what was being told to Arjuna. Do you have some comments upon that?
So you're asking how Bhishma knows that
Yeah. So
he is bewildered and
yes, yes, yes.
he's giving Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah, the symptoms are spoken just like Arjuna gave up Gandiva bow and he's sitting and crying on the chariot. That Gita first chapter, the symptoms of Arjuna is given.
Mhm.
Where he's almost giving up the war and just sitting on the chariot. That is an external symptom. Definitely that might have known because they are in front only, no? They are in front. In the verse also is speaking that they are in front. And when he saw his symptoms are seen, he is very much disturbed and he gave the Gandiva vow. He sat down. But directly I didn't heard, but by seeing the symptoms, they could understand. He is an intelligent person. What is happening to Arjuna? Arjuna is supposed to be a warrior. Why he is sitting and crying? And then when Krishna spoke, definitely it may have understood, Bhishma would have understood that Krishna is inspiring Arjuna to fight. Whether it is, anybody heard any comment on that? No. That's my understanding. Because they are very in front. Because Arjuna himself spoke to take in front of them. So Krishna took in front of them. That time Arjuna got bewildered. And many symptoms are explained in the first chapter. He gave up the Gandibo, also he was just sitting. Then Krishna spoke, he took time. And definitely, because the conchs are already blown, it means that war has to start. Then there might have been a management meeting. Why war is not starting? Then there could have been some reconciliation. What is happening between Krishna and Arjuna? So he could have understood that Arjuna is in dejection and Krishna is inspiring. That's my understanding.
Maybe first chapter they might have seen sitting down. It make more sense because they would not have heard Bhagavad Gita because universal form if they would have seen Bhishma Dev Duryodhan, so they would have already said that, no, now they are going into the universal form. So most probably they would have seen that part when he's crying and sitting
No,
down.
that universal form is clearly mentioned that is only revealed to him.
Yeah.
I am giving Divya Chakshu. Of
Yeah.
course, it's called Divya Chakshu, but it's lower forms of Chakshu. It's not seen by everyone.
Yeah.
He gave a special vision to
Yes.
see. Yeah.
Maybe. So most probably only Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita, no one else on the battlefield at that point of time.
Only Arjuna heard or others didn't heard. Any comments?
On the battlefield, I was.
On the battlefield? No, I think. But because of Sanjaya's special mercy of Vyasadeva, he could see and hear and he spoke to him. Otherwise not. You had a question?
Here it is said that Arjuna could not be bewildered because he is a constant companion of the Lord. But he was put into bewilderment by the arrangement of the Lord.
Correct.
So for other devotees who are not constant companion, what can be the criteria which decides they will not be bewildered, they will be bewildered. And if it is they are bewildered, how will understand it is bewilderment caused by Lord or
No, at least we understand we are bewildered by Maya, not Yoga Maya. So that is the we understand from our side. So actually, bewilderment by Yoga Maya has to increase the intensity of love and service internally and externally also. That is the main symptom. Our remembrance, our dedication, our sacrifice, and our service attitude, all these things has to keep on increasing. Means then we can understand that we are bewildered by Yoga Maya. Otherwise, if your service attitude or if your dedication, if our for our external expression of our devotion in terms of services or activities or internal remembrances not intensifying, that means we are bewildered by Yoga Mahamaya. And when we are attracted to more and more towards matter, that means we are definitely influenced by Maya only. So when we are influenced by Yoga Maya, we will always be attracted towards Krishna, not towards Maya. Nothing matter appeals to us when we are really influenced by Yoga Maya. Hare Krishna. So, yeah. What Bhishma's personal experience he is expressing here. Okay, let us see. I think it will take time. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratigna ratam adikritam apluto ratasta dhritarata charano vyayachalagdu haririvahantum ibagatottariya.
Fulfilling my vow and sacrificing his own promise, he got down from the chariot, took up its wheel, and ran towards me hurriedly, just as a lion goes to kill an elephant. He even dropped his outer garment on the way.
The beauty of act of breaking his vow to fulfill Bhishma's vow, that is relishing. So you all definitely heard about the story and definitely heard and read how Bhishma was. Prabhupada explains the whole story, the 5 arrows and how Krishna, how Arjuna took the 5 arrows and Bhishma took a vow that I will make Krishna to break his vow. Please read the highlight version.
At that time, Lord Krishna wanted to please his devotee Bhishma by keeping Bhishma's promise, which was more important than his own. Thus, seemingly, he broke his own promise.
This one, last one.
Of course, there was no possibility of Arjuna's death because the Lord himself was on the chariot. But because Bhishma Dev wanted to see Lord Krishna take up some weapon to save his friend, the Lord created this situation, making Arjuna's death appear imminent. He stood before Bhishma Dev to show him that his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel.
So he's relishing that act of he want to give pleasure to Krishna and by making him break his vow. So Krishna also wants to break his own vow to please Bhishma Dev. So in the both ways they are relishing the activities of chivalrous activities. And we heard definitely the stories and story on that one, how Krishna took up the wheel and he was running towards Bhishma. And there is a famous picture also. Yeah, Tignam. He was running towards Bhishma Dev to kill. Prabhupada mentioning the fact that he stood before Bhishma Dev to show his promise was fulfilled and that he had taken up the wheel just to give pleasure to Bhishma Dev. Text 38. Shita Vishikha Hato Vishirna Damsha Shataja Pariplata Atatayino Me Prasabham Abhisasara Madvadardham Sabhavatu Me Bhagavan Gatir Mukunda. Translation.
May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was shattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds.
So he's relishing that. It is said that Krishna elevates his devotee to higher position than his own. So he's giving his own experience in these two verses. That means he wanted to see Krishna in that position as breaking his own vow. So that is like elevating himself, seeing the devotees greater than him. So that's what the main point here. Please read this one, Para.
Dealings of Lord Krishna and Bhishmadev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are interesting because the activities of Lord Sri Krishna appear to be partial to Arjuna and at enmity with Bhishmadev. But factually, all this was especially meant to show special favor to Bhishmadev, a great devotee of the Lord.
Continue.
The astounding future of such dealings is that a devotee can please the Lord by playing the part of an enemy.
Enemy, yeah. So that's how he is very much trying to please the Bhishmadev. Lord being absolute can accept service from his pure devotee even in the garb of enemy. So though they are fighting with each other as enemies, but they are relishing internally with different aspects by making him break his vow, trying to put him in a difficult situation. So if you read the Mahabharata, how Bhishma fought on that day to just kill Arjuna or to trying to kill Arjuna is very fearsome. And when he is almost in danger, then Krishna is that it's too much now. Then he started getting off his chariot and took up his wheel, not his wheel, but Ratha's his wheel, Ratha's wheel, and he was charging towards Bhishma Dev. There's famous picture also, you might have seen famous picture how Krishna is running towards Bhishma and Arjuna is holding his leg, he's embracing his leg, Krishna's leg, to stop him from attacking. That's how that day and war ends. That's where so Bhishma is just beholding the beauty of Krishna, holding it is Rathanga Pani, a famous name, Rathanga Pani. So then Arjuna is trying to hold Krishna tightly. So these are the different rasas Prabhupada has explained here. You can go through the purport. Of course, Prabhupada mentioning about impersonalists, they cannot understand about these aspects. Read.
Impersonalists desire salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspiration. But here, Bhishmadev prays that the ultimate destination of his life be the Lord in his personal future. All pure devotees aspire for this.
Yeah. So impersonalist and personalist. What is the difference? Their aspiration is mentioned here. Text 39. Vijaya Radha Kutumba Atatotre Dhrutahayarasmini Tatshri Bhagavati Ratirastu me mumurshor Yahamihi Niriksha Hata Gata Swarupam.
At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction to be Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon Arjuna's chariot driver, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, and who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death.
So here, especially how Krishna is so kind, how Krishna is so Bhakta Vatsalata to Arjun is explained here. Vijaya Ratha Kutumba. Vijaya means Arjun. Vijaya Sakhe. Vijaya Ratha Kutumba. His Ratha is accepted as Kutumba. Kutumba means family. Yeah, it's a family. So Krishna accepted Arjuna's Radha as Kutumba. That's what the explanation. Kutumba means, the comment was that whatever the means, if we are unable to provide and sustain your family, your Kutumba by normal means, you can do, you can do even injustices to maintain your family. That is the responsibility of the householder. That's why it's called Kutumba. That is a Dharma Shastras define like that. That's the Kutumba means. So here he's saying Vijayarata Kutumba. Krishna accepted Vijayarata, the Arjuna's chariot, as Kutumba. He's also commented that Tadevam Anyayairapi Bhakta Raksha Vyagre Krishne Ratirasaste. Even by doing Anyaya, Bhakta Raksha Vyagre, Krishna is very much in anxiety to protect his own devotee. To that Krishna, in that Krishna, let my rati be there, my attraction be into that Krishna, who is even not at all worrying about doing any kind of anyayas to protect his Arjuna's Ratha, his devotee. So that shows how much he is loving towards his devotee. That's what Bhishma Dev is relishing, that Arjunasya Ratha eva kutumbo akritairapi rakshaniya. Even by doing akritya, that his kutumba, his ratha should be protected. So to that Supreme Lord, in that Supreme Lord, let my attraction be there. So that shows the extraordinary nature of Krishna towards his devotees, released by Bhishma Dev. Please read. Prabhupada explains about pure devotees' affection and how yogis mechanical absorption.
The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the super soul by restraining the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc.
Continue.
Therefore, the concentration of the
Next paragraph.
Bhishma Dev was a pure devotee, and as a military marshal, he constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarthi, the chariot driver of Arjun. Therefore, the Lord's pastime as Parthasarthi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginless from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the motion Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hand moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishma Dev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarthi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjun was behind the beautiful Parthasarthi, while Bhishma Dev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishma Dev absorbed this with more relish than Arjun.
So he's saying Bhishma Dev is feeling that I am more fortunate than Arjun because I am able to see Krishna face to face. Arjuna is he is fighting in the chariot, but I am able to see, he could not see Krishna's beautiful features because Bhishma is facing Krishna. Arjuna is facing only the backside. But he's considering all these features that are going on in Krishna's wonderful features that are going on is only released by Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Dev is feeling that Bhishma Dev is feeling more fortunate that I am more fortunate than Arjuna because I could see the beautiful features of Bhishma Dev. So now it's already 150. So 40 verses. Okay, we will try to cover in tomorrow's session, maybe 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. So these are very beautiful verses, beautiful shlokas, a little bit taking time. But all the Prabhupada also very elaborate purports. We are not going through all. but at least giving a little glimpse of the verses, how Bhishma Dev is relishing different features of the beauty and the activities of the Lord, and trying to protect Arjuna's chariot, his own transcendental exchanges with Arjuna is explained in these verses, and Bhishma Dev is very much attracted and absorbed in that in those feelings. He is remembering and is absorbing in Krishna. And further verses, Bhishma Dev trying to remember the exalted devotees of gopis, and finally he leaves his life heirs from before Krishna. Okay, tomorrow we will try to complete. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Itagati.